Hello and welcome to Dawn Chorus Writes, a Miraculous Ladybug fanfiction and audiofic. This is a special Patreon one, so it's dedicated to all my supporters over on Patreon. All the links are down below if you want to support me as well. So this is a massive thank you to them, and it's part of Fall into Christmas and called A Wish Upon the First Snowflake. So I hope you enjoy it. Massive shout out to Cissi, who did this beautiful art commission for the thumbnail. So all her information is linked down below. Make sure you go and send her some love. Make sure you send me some love for writing it and narrating it by smashing that like button. It really does help with the channel and boosts it up. Make sure you comment down below what you think of it. This is purely Christmas magic, fluff, goodness. So yeah, I hope you enjoy, and make sure you subscribe so you do not miss out on any other one treats and series that are happening at the moment. And I hope you enjoy. A Wish Upon the First Snowflake. Marinette stood on her small balcony, watching how the frost was causing the entire city to sparkle, as if Santa himself had dusted it with Christmas magic. Or maybe that was how it seemed to her as she waited for a glimpse of a certain cat. She took down the sleeves of a special festive jumper she had knitted last year in support of the duo, but this year there was only one person she wanted to know, to show them just how much she cared. Using the wool as a frost barrier, she leant against the metal railings and scanned the nearest rooftops. Okay, he didn't say he would be coming tonight, but a princess could hope. For a while now, Cat had been popping by unannounced. First, he had made the excuse he had simply stumbled across this location. But he knew that she lived here, and after the third time over 2 weeks, neither of them believed what he was saying. After that, he came round in the hopes of hanging out, to talk, to keep her company as she completed homework. Yesterday they had watched their first film together, well, if you don't count the time from last year, after she practiced confessing her love for Buttercup and they took a trip to the cinema. Why had she put so much pressure on herself to confess? Why did it never seem to work out with the golden boy? No. Adrien, she supposed, was always meant to be her friend, whereas Cat, she had finally seen him for who he really was. Not just the joking side, but the sweet, sensitive, supportive, reliable, handsome. He was practically beautiful, inside and out. It was funny to think, but Adrien always seemed like a dream boy, who was never within reach, whereas Cat, even though she still didn't know the man behind the mask, he was real to her. Yesterday, as they were curled up under the blanket on the chaise and watched the Muppet Christmas Carol, her 100th time, but Cat's first, he had asked her what she normally did as a family for Christmas. She explained, the usual, decorate a tree, bake cookies, hang fairy lights. For me, making presents for all my loved ones. Things like that, really. Can I ask? If it doesn't give away anything, what do you do for Christmas? She glanced at him from the corner of her eyes. Cat shrugged his shoulders. Well, nothing like what you described. My family isn't... We don't have any traditions. Not anymore. Instead, it ends up being quiet. Just another day in my house. At his words, she snapped around to look at him in the eyes, to see if he was really telling her the truth. Not that he would lie to her. Really? That kind of sounds lonely. I'm sorry. She gently laid her hand on top of his gloved one, and for the first time she found herself wishing it wasn't covered by the magical suit. Why should you be sorry? It's fine. I'm used to it now. His green eyes were fixed on hers, A surge of butterflies took off inside her stomach as she could feel herself being drawn closer to him. You could always... Her confidence gave out and broke his eye contact. Come round here anytime you need to fill up on the holiday cheer. I wouldn't want to intrude. I'm sure... Her eyes snapped back, locking onto his once again. You wouldn't be. In fact, I love it if you did. I mean, I bet your claws would be great at detangling fairy lights. I didn't want to brag or anything, but I have been known to be useful from time to time. He gave her a little smirk. In that case, tomorrow night, if you happen to be in the area. With her free hand, Marinette tucked her hair behind her ear. I might be in the middle of stringing up lights around my room. I will keep that in mind, Princess. He angled his body closer to hers so that she could rest her head on his shoulder and watch the last 20 minutes of the film in a comfortable silence, unable to stop herself from wondering what he might be thinking and if he might take her up on the invitation. As he bid her good night with a soft kiss to the back of her hand, there was still no answer. Not wanting to come across being too forward, she simply smiled and hoped. She had hope throughout the night, into the next morning as she hunched over the sewing machine, adding the white fluffy material onto the rim of the red velvet. The hope continued to linger on until the evening as she found herself standing in the sub-zero weather on her balcony, staring across the city. With the traditional Christmas tunes softly filtering out of her skylight, acting like a beacon for him to follow, she promised herself another 5 minutes and then she would go inside, hoping he would be able to pop round tomorrow instead. Tiki had already informed her of the importance of Ladybug not catching a cold. Fevers and miraculouses don't go well together, especially for how she had described him, a stray cat. It was safe to say her little friend wasn't the biggest supporter of Marinette and Cat Noir's relationship, of her falling in love with her partner, believing it would only end in disaster and wanting to reveal our identities. Then to add salt into the wound, carte blanche. However, after the first few visits, a stronger bond had formed between them, which even transcended into her Ladybug side, making their partnership that much stronger during the next Akuma battle. So, for now, Tiki had taken a step back, but keeping a close eye on her. However, she didn't need Tiki to explain what was at stake if her relationship with Cat took a wrong turn. Or if she lost her head in love for him and blurted out the fact that she was Ladybug before it was time to do so. Or her worst case scenario was if Monarch discovered their relationship and used it against Kitty. Or he discovered that she was Ladybug. No, that one didn't dare thinking about. They just needed to be careful. It was well after the 5 minutes she had given Cat and was about to admit defeat when she spotted a shadow shifting in the distance, running fast towards her. At the mere image of Kitty coming to see her brought the biggest smile to her lips. I'm so sorry I'm late, my princess. He cupped his hands around hers and brought it to his lips. Oh, your hands are like ice. You must be frozen. How long have you been waiting outside? He picked up her other hand and placed them together before sandwiching his on top. For a little while. It's my fault. You didn't even say you might be coming. I had just hoped. You should have waited inside, where it is warm. He chuckled, attempting to steal her gaze, but for some reason a bashfulness seemed to wash over her. I'm here now, so shall we head in? Yeah. The chilly night air hit her hands again as he released them. Actually, there is something I want to give to you. A gift? For me? She nodded her head. You didn't have to, Marinette. Getting to spend time with you is the best gift I could ask for. I even find myself wishing away a whole day, just so that it becomes evening again and I can pop by. She paused in step, causing him to crash into the back of her, only to stumble as she turned round, cheeks burning but staring into his eyes. Really? Honest? It was his turn to nod in response. I do the same thing. She turned to go back through the skylight when his hand gripped around her wrist and swung her back round, enveloping her into a hug. With her head pressed against his chest, she could hear his heart pounding wildly, more than she had heard it done before. You are the best part of any day, Marinette. This time means everything to me. He whispered into her ear so that it was only a secret for them to know. She was about to confirm her feelings back when he kissed her lightly on the cheek, then let her go. You need to warm up. How does hot chocolate sound? She pursed her lips together before running the bottom lip between her teeth. He leaned in closer, showing off his height against hers. Perfect. His gaze jumping from her eyes to her lips before rapidly returning with a blush to his cheeks. She turned round, hoping to hide her own blush, and grinned to herself. She was practically giddy. Landing down on the mezzanine, she quickly scrambled down the steps and picked up the Santa hat next to her sewing machine and placed it around her back. This is only a little something I came up with today. I thought it might help you get into the spirit of the season. She waited until he was standing right in front, giving her a questionable look. She couldn't help the giggle that burst out of her lips as she quickly presented it to him, watching his eyes widen in surprise, followed by joy. Then last a smirk when he noticed she had added 2 holes in the top of it for his cat ears. Marinette! Like I said, it's nothing major, it's just a bit of silliness really. I love it! I will cherish this Santa hat. He carefully placed it onto his head, wiggling his ears through the gaps. His ears can wiggle? Since when? Had they always been able to do that? And she had never noticed? How many other cat traits does he have? Purring? Wiggling ears? Does that mean she has bug traits? What would be considered a bug trait anyway? Stepped on by people like Lila and Chloe? Check. Marinette, princess. His hand was on her shoulder and his face was close to hers. Is everything okay? I adore the hat, so there's nothing to worry about there. Good. That's good. Never mind. Got chocolate? Santa Claus? She wiggled her eyebrows at him. The pun had been mulling around in her head all day and she knew he would want to say it. So the temptation to get it in first was too much. Plus, it was a helpful distraction away from a wandering mind. That? Not fair! You beat me to it! But hearing you pun like that, worth the sacrifice. His hand glided down her shoulder and gripped onto her upper arm as he edged closer, this time transferring his smile onto her forehead. Her insides practically melted. She was a gooey mess. Forget hot chocolate. She needed to stick her head into the freezer to cool down. Yeah, chocolate? Hot chocolate. You? Me? You stay. Me make. Her brain was in a constant buffering mode, searching for some sort of signal that it was working again. Cat burst out laughing from his chest to his eyes. So, in English, you are gonna make a start on the hot chocolate, and I will make a start on these fairy lights. I did promise. He shot her a wink before making his way over to the large cardboard box with tinsels, lights, and handmade ornaments poking out the top. Plan! Oh, she needed to pull herself together. How was he causing such a reaction from her? Was he flirting with her? Did he like her? Was she really that lucky, or was he flirting with all the girls, and Marinette was no exception? Her mind ran through all the moments a new female superhero was introduced and how Cat had behaved, admitting to herself that there had been moments Ladybug had been jealous. No, stay in the moment. This was different, wasn't it? She glanced back around, one hand on the trapdoor, and saw a childlike face on Cat's as she searched through the box filled with treasures. No matter what, anything was worth that look on Cat, as long as he was happy. Down in the kitchen, Marinette pulled out the ingredients as the milk slowly warmed on the stove. Real chocolate powder, extra gooey marshmallows, definitely whipped cream, he was a cat after all. Sprinkles? Would that be a step too far, or maybe a candy cane? In the corner of her eye, she saw Tiki sitting there, making muffled sounds as she nibbled on a double chocolate cookie. Say it. Whatever it is, come out with it, Teeks.
No, you already know my feelings on the matter, she grumbled into the cookie before taking a large mouthful. You had loved Adrien for so long. That would have been better, safer. Are you sure you want to give that up for Cat Noir?
Teeks, I know you only have my best interests in mind, but Adrien? He was never meant to be. He didn't see me that way, and I was completely a mess around him. Answer me this. How can I be with someone if I'm not able to show them who I truly am? Not the bug side, just me as Marinette. Cat is different. He sees me, and I am finally seeing him. And at least this way is not affecting fighting against Akumas. Plus, if he chose me, plain, silly, awkward me, then I know it wasn't just the suit that he loved.
And what about Cat? Is it just the suit that you love? You don't know who he is underneath.
I don't know his name, but I know him, his character, his heart, and I can wait for the rest.
I don't want you to get hurt.
I won't. He won't.
You don't know that. And then what happens to the duo of Paris? Can you still be his partner even if he breaks your heart?
He did. For a year. Cat confessed his feelings to Ladybug, only for me to turn him down, but he managed to put the responsibilities first. He was there for me when I needed him the most. He picked me up when I had fallen, when we lost it all, even after what I put him through. So yes, if for whatever reason our relationship, if he can't love me, Marinette back, then I will do what he did and still put the people first.
Yeah, okay. I do love Cat too. I just worry about it, that's all.
Tiki flew up to Marinette's cheek, smelling like marshmallows, and gave it a hug. Thanks, Teek. And I promised to take it slow, and when did you steal a marshmallow? An oddie chuckle bubbled out of Tiki as she quickly zoomed down and stole another before Marinette could move them away.
These ones are extra fluffy and sugary and oh, so sweet. I just couldn't resist myself.
Tiki muffled through a mouthful, her face covered in icing sugar. Marinette smiled at her little friend, happy to clear the air more with her, and poured in the hot milk to the 2 waiting mugs. She finished them off with a few marshmallows which were already starting to melt, and extra whipped cream on Kitty's. After a dash of sprinkles, and you couldn't have a holiday hot chocolate without a candy cane, they were ready. Marinette pushed open the trapdoor with one hand whilst balancing the tray with the other, silently praying that she didn't trip. However, she wasn't ready for what she saw.
The room sparkled with warm golden lights draped around the wooden posts, around the mezzanine, and even around the circle window, but Kitty had somehow become tangled himself in the remaining lights. A burst of laughter exploded out of her, wishing she was holding a camera in that moment instead of 2 hot chocolates. "A little help, princess?" How on earth? She tried to say through the giggles and placed the tray down on the coffee table, staring at the adorable sight of Cat, looking like his own version of a candy cane, with stripes of light wrapping around him from toes to nose. "Please, princess." His green eyes became wider, bigger, almost cartoon size as he pleaded. That look stopped the giggles. Instead, she felt her insides melting like a marshmallows. "I will help, but you can't look at me like that." "Why? What am I doing? How am I looking at you?" He leaned in closer, somehow making his eyes even bigger as she tried to find the ends of the lights. "Kitty! Stop it! You know perfectly well what you're doing." Oh, why were her cheeks so hot? Do you want my help or not?" "Well, that depends on you. If you want a cat lamp permanently in your bedroom." As if he just realized what he said, he stopped talking and turned his own version of blushing red, highlighted by the small bulbs. "Okay, yeah. Sorry." He shifted on the spot. "Stay still. I'm trying to find..." A hand traced along the plastic-coated wire, brushing against his suit as her fingers ran from his stomach to his back. "Princess, I am begging you, not that way. Your fingers, it tickles." His blush had darkened. A hand jumped off him. "Sorry, I didn't mean..." How about you hold onto the cable and I will spin. You turn around and see if that works." She wasn't sure what he was meaning, but too flustered to think straight. She nodded her head and did as instructed. She was meant to tug one way whilst Cat moved to the other side of the room. However, what happened was Cat tugged on his side a little too much and caused Marinette to tumble after him, arms frantically waving around as she tried to grab more of the cables before crashing into Cat, who was now free from the fairy lights but somehow found herself enclosed in his arms underneath the mistletoe he had put there only moments ago. Stunned, surprised, turning into a goo in his arms, Marinette stared up at Cat, who was beaming at her with a laughter in his voice. "Sorry, that wasn't meant to happen like that, and this," he pointed upwards, "I found it in the box. I put it there as a bit of a... but now..." His words were lost in his mouth, but his eyes were saying so much. Can she? Should she? If they kiss now, that line will be crossed. No going back. He leaned in closer. The laughter was replaced by a calm, serious Kitty. His intentions clear. He wanted to kiss her. Marinette closed her eyes and allowed her heart to lead. Ignore her screaming head, wanting to measure the consequences of her actions. "Honey, I heard a crash. Are you both okay up there?" Sabine's voice carried through the trapdoor and caused them both to jump apart. "Fine! Oh, fine!" Marinette's strained voice called back. "Putting up the fairy lights and fell, but all good." "Please, be more careful, you both." "Will do, Miss Chang. Sabine, sorry," Cat added, now rubbing the back of his neck and his cheeks burning red. "Maybe we should take a break and have these hot chocolates up on the balcony? I could use some air." "That sounds great to me." He smiled at her and picked up the tray.
The night chill felt refreshing against her face. She felt she could breathe again. Kat handed her a mug. The whipped cream slightly melted now on top of the mug, and the marshmallows had created a gooey layer over the top. They must have stood there for at least 5 minutes in silence. The only sound was the cityscape below, but even that was more still than normal. There wasn't even a moon to cast a glow across the rooftops. She glanced over at him and noticed he had a hot chocolate moustache and a childlike sparkle in his eyes. Kitty! Then she noticed a white speck on his arm. Hey! Look! What? Her eyes shot from the speck to the sky above, waiting. Then another slightly larger speck joined the other one. It was snowing. It's snowing! The first snow of the year! Really? Kat copied Marinette's previous move as more snowflakes descended. Wow! I wasn't expecting that. There is something magical about the first snowfall. There is even a tradition in our family to make a wish on the first snowfall. Does it especially come true if the wish lands on the first snowflake? Kat edged closer to her, carefully holding his arm out, the snowflake still visible. I don't know. Maybe. Why don't we both try it and see if they come true? Kitty returned a soft smile before closing her eyes shut. She tried to think what a single wish could be. Pick one out of countless options. Defeat Monarch, bring her grades up for university, hope her parents would worry about her less. Adrien, hope he was doing okay, and that she could finally put her feelings to the side. Kat, her kitty, and then the wish came to her. She wanted him to be happy, with or without the mask. She just wished that his days were filled with happiness, even if that didn't include her. So, what did you wish for? Can you tell me? He wiggled his eyebrows at her and grinned. No, if we do that, they won't come true. They are the rules. What if I show you what my wish might be? Do you think it will still come true? The smirk was replaced with a sincere smile as he wrapped an arm around her waist, pulling her closer to him. I like you a lot, Marinette. I meant it, what I said before. Spending time with you is the highlight to any day, and I find myself wishing away the time until I'm by your side again. Kitty? I like you too, but I can't believe someone as sweet, brave, kind, beautiful would pick me. Princess, I have never understood why you do that. Why you can't see the person I see. How special you are, and not just to me, but to your parents, friends, the community. His other hand released off the freezing railing and cupped her face, causing a shocked laughter to burst out of her. Sorry, I didn't mean to. Even now. Oh, I could drown in your ocean eyes. How they dazzle. Oh, if I'm honest with myself, with you, I don't think I just like you. Instead, I'm falling in love with you. Kat brushed his thumb across her cheek and silently asked if he can kiss her, leaning in closer, allowing her time to move back. Instead, she closed her eyes and waited. It was a single light kiss at first, but as she felt the tingle across her lips and a burst of excitement, of happiness, the sensation of her lips being pressed harder this time against his. Her arms wrapped around his waist and neck, wanting nothing more than to fold into his embrace. After a few minutes they broke apart, needing to breathe again. The chilly air filled her lungs and helped the world to stop spinning. He encouraged her closer again,
stroking her hair as she rested her head into the nook of his neck, hearing his heart pounding in his chest, and she knew. The words, the kiss, he meant it. He was actually falling in love with Marinette, not Ladybug, the superhero, but simply her, the daily walking mess on most days. A smile spread across her lips, and for a moment, all thoughts vanished, and she was left with only her heart. The tingling feeling coursed through her body, the giddiness sitting in her throat, wanting to explode. But what surprised her the most was how calm her voice sounded. Cat. Kitty. I love you. He pulled her trembling body tighter against him, wrapping her into his protective arms, and felt the pressure of his lips press down on the top of her head. My wish came true. Maybe the first snowflakes are special, he mumbled into her hair. As his words sank in, she thought maybe there was a good chance her Christmas wish could come true too. He peeled her back a little and brushed his lips over hers before sighing and leaning his forehead against hers. I could stay here all night, wrapping you in my arms and kissing you. But the snow is coming down heavier. You need to get back inside to warm up, and I need to get home. I feel the same way. Her burning cheeks instantly melting any snowflake falling onto her skin. Are you free tomorrow night? We still have many more traditions to do, and hey, we still need to finish off the fairy lights. Plus, I think, she locked her eyes onto his, I will miss you too much if I don't. He tilted his head so that his lips hovered above hers. How could I refuse such an offer? And I would miss you too, my princess. He lightly kissed her lips like the flutter of a butterfly's wing. I know. The moment I leave this balcony, I will miss you. So I dare anyone, including Monarch, to keep me away from you. Oh, are you planning to take on Paris for me, Kitty? I would take on the world for you, Marinette. I love you. You make me happy. I can hardly contain myself. In that case, maybe my wish will come true too. She chuckled, watching his smile spread from his lips to his eyes, which were again locked onto hers. Oh, I hate this, but I better go. Sweet dreams, my princess. And it's a date. Tomorrow evening. Wait, can it be our first official date? Marinette giggled, wishing her hands were free to cover her face. Yes! She squeaked. You are too cute sometimes, you know that, right? He took a step back and both hands fell from the waist and slid into a hold. See you soon, kitty cat. She kissed him on the cheek, feeling the warmth. He tilted his head up and gently kissed her on the forehead. Miss you already. Before she realized what was happening, the cold air engulfed her where there used to be cat's warmth, and the sound of his baton hitting the ground. Maybe it was the magic of the snowflake wish. Maybe it was the magic of following her heart. Either way, she was in love with Cat Noir, no matter what the consequences might be down the line. Thank you for listening to this special one shot. I know lots of you go, no, I want another part to this, but it is a one shot. Possibly. But this one is dedicated to all my Patreon supporters. I appreciate you so much, and if you want to be a Patreon supporter, there is links down below where you can find me and support from as little as a couple of pounds. So, but this one is dedicated to them for Christmas. Merry Christmas, and I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, make sure you smash that like button. Send me some extra Christmas love. Make sure you comment down below what you think of it. Are you a gushy, melted mess after all the fluff and the warmth? I've been writing a lot of angst, so it was quite nice to write a little bit of fluff for a while. And make sure you subscribe so you do not miss out on little one-shots like this, and other series are happening, and other series that are coming your way in the new year. And I just want to say a massive Merry Christmas. I hope you're all good. Lots of love, and may your new year be brighter than this one, and all your wishes come true. Bye.